Hey everybody, before we begin today's video, we here at the Three Count Mafia would like to express our condolences to the friends and family of Shad Gaspard and Hannah Kimura respectively, or Hana Kimura respectively. Um, Shad Gaspard just 2 weeks ago was pronounced dead because of freak circumstances. He and his family were at the beach a day prior when he and his son were caught up in a riptide with several other people, and he made sure that his son got help first before he did. And when the lifeguards and other people came back to help him, he had disappeared. And then a day or two later, the search was called off, and his body washed up, and he was pronounced dead. Just truly devastating news, especially to his friends and family. Um, from all accounts, he was just a beacon of light and positivity, and just one of the nicest people within the wrestling community, from what other people have said. Um, the bright side is, at least, they have that closure. Like it's never it's never good to lose someone, but at least they have the body, they have closure, and his final moments were just a man protecting his son or looking after his son, even if it cost him everything. And yeah, we send our condolences to his friends and family. And then Hana Kimura, who passed away um, just hours prior to Double or Nothing this past Saturday. Um, she was by all accounts, a phenomenal female athlete in the Stardom promotion. Um, yeah, apparently she was on a reality TV show, a Japanese reality TV show, where an incident happened, and she kind of blew up, and that led to a bunch of cyberbullying. And Saturday, she was pronounced dead. It's truly just heartbreaking that someone who was taken so early in life, because she was only in her early 20s, and she was just harassed by all these faceless individuals with absolutely no respect for her as a person. And it's truly appalling that circumstances like this had happened. And and yeah, it's it's truly upsetting. So again, we are Three Count Mafia, send condolences to her friends and her family, and the friends and family of Shad Gaspard. So if there's anything to go away with this, is just tell the people that matter to you that you love them. Even if you know you take an extra second to say I love you, or hug them, or give them a kiss, because you never know when it's going to be the last time. And just just be nice to other people. If you don't have anything nice to say to somebody or nice to do, then don't do it. Let it be. So, yeah. That being said, on with today's show. Hey everybody, welcome back to an episode of the 3 Count Super. Yes, the 3 Count Super is back because I have a tremendous case of the lazies. Anyway, I am War Machine MJ. And I'm here today to talk about NXT from May 13th and May 20th, respectively. So let's go ahead and start with the May 13th edition of NXT. We kicked off the show with NXT Tag Team Championship match. Matt Riddle and Timothy Thatcher defending against Imperium's Fabian Eichner and Marcel Barthel. Yeah, of course the cracks were beginning to form between the chillax Matt Riddle and the the hard bastard mentality of Timothy Thatcher, as Matt Riddle was kind of just all lackadaisical during the entrance. Matt Riddle kicked off one of his sliders and hit Timothy Thatcher with it. Then during the match, there was a whole bunch of miscommunications that just ran rugshot throughout the match, where Tim Thatcher tried to make a hot tag to Matt Riddle, but Matt Riddle was on the outside beating up on Marcel Barthel. And the final straw was Timothy Thatcher was on the apron when Matt Riddle monkey flipped Eichner right into Thatcher. Thatcher decided he had had enough, and he just said, screw it. Matt Riddle, try as he may, he put up a good fight, but eventually he succumbed to the European bomb. And, yeah, Imperium became the new NXT Tag Team Champions. I mean, we've been saying for months on this channel, off and on, Marcel Barthel is a license to print money. That dude is gold on the mic. That dude looks amazing. That dude wrestles amazing. And now you put gold around his waist. Money. Fabian Eichner's great too, but it's just Marcel Barthel's just, he's aces on the mic. Anyway, after the match, Timothy Thatcher was getting interviewed when Matt Riddle, basically just questioned him. He's like, what was that all about? And Tim Thatcher was like, I'm done playing around. I don't care to play around like you do. That led them to, the words were exchanged, and then they came to blows. And then they were separated for the time being. Next, we had Tegan Nox defeating Indy Hartwell in a fairly competitive match, but Tegan Nox got the victory with the shiniest wizard. Next, Rhea Ripley says she's gonna get her championship back from Charlotte, even if she has to go through Io Shirai to do so. Then we had more interim NXT Cruiserweight Championship tourney action as Jake Atlas took on the premier athlete Tony Nese. Of course, Jake Atlas was going into the tournament. At this point in the tournament, he was 1-1, and Tony Nese was absolutely winless. So, in Block A, he was absolutely winless. So, Jake Atlas kept the momentum going and put Tony Nese away with the Rainbow DDT. Of course, it's a handspring DDT off the top rope. Amazing. Next, we had an Undisputed Era Zoom call where Yeah, the boys got back together, even if it was briefly, but they decided that Roderick Strong would take on Dexter Lumis. Next was a video package for Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, which looked amazing. And, it's just a hype package for them. Next, it was announced by Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Road Dogg, of course, members of D Generation X, announcing that the next NXT takeover will be called NXT Takeover in Your House. Of course, an homage to the the naming scheme for the first block of WWE block of WWE pay-per-views outside of the Big Four. I do believe it is going to be the 25th anniversary of Takeover of In Your House. So yeah. Next we had Cameron Grimes taking on Finn Balor. Of course, that match came about the week prior when Cameron Grimes talked all that good and Finn Balor called him out on it. So that led to this match. A fairly competitive match. However, down the stretch, Damian Priest got involved. He smacked Finn Balor with his collapsible nightstick, allowing Cameron Grimes to hit a cave-in for the victory. Afterwards, Damian Priest hit Finn Balor with the Reckoning on a chair, and while he popped open the chair and sat on it, kind of putting pressure on Finn's upper chest area, around his throat, he basically revealed that he was the guy that ambushed Finn Balor a couple weeks ago. Next was more NXT Cruiserweight Championship tourney action as Jack Gallagher took on Isaiah, Swerve, Scott, and B-Block. Of course, prior to the match, Isaiah Swerve Scott kind of ran his mouth a bit too much, basically talking about if you're winless in this tournament, you should just go ahead and quit wrestling altogether. Of course, that sparked the ire of Tony Nese, who was, he hadn't had a single W throughout this whole tournament, and he jumped Isaiah Swerve Scott, or he jumped Swerve prior to the match, which allowed Jack Gallagher to get a victory. Next, we had Caden Carter taking on Aaliyah. Of course, Aaliyah was trying out for the Robert Stone brand. However, that got the best of her as she was concerned with Robert Stone, which allowed Caden Carter to get the victory. Afterwards, she pleaded with Robert Stone to let her in, to consider her, and Robert Stone was just like, nah, nothing here. Next, we had Dinner with the Garganos. Of course, they were talking trash about Mia Yim and Keith Lee, respectively. And finally, in the main event, there was a backstage segment which led up to this, and it was basically Matt Riddle coming off of a call with William Regal to make a main event match between himself and Tim Thatcher. Of course, Tim Thatcher started throwing some strikes, if I can get my words together, and then he threw a TV monitor at Matt Riddle, which led to this match. Just it's two guys just kicking the crap out of each other. Of course, fired up Matt Riddle is just an absolute gem as much as laid back chillax Matt Riddle. However, in the end, Timothy Thatcher had Matt Riddle in a submission, and Matt Riddle reversed it into a pin. Afterwards, Timothy Thatcher beat down Matt Riddle and put him in the Fujiwara armbar. So that's how we closed out NXT from May the 13th, and now NXT from May the 20th. So we kicked off the show with Karrion Kross annihilating whatever poor bastard he was supposed to face. Afterwards, he was afterwards he was entertained by the appearance of Tommaso Ciampa, who talked about how, well, first off, he introduced himself to Karrion Kross, but he talked about how they were both special and how they both make a presence. So they were going to have a match at Takeover. Next we had more interim cruiserweight championship turning action as El Hijo de Fantasma took on Akira Tozawa in the finals of the B block. Of course, they had the best record, so they were going to face off to represent B block in the finals. Yeah, this was just an absolute hard-hitting match. They both threw everything they had at each other. But in the end, El Hijo Fantasma put away Akira Tozawa with the thrill of the hunt, his old Lucha Underground finisher. And he is the winner of Group B. Okay, that happens later on. Anyway. Next, we had a promo from Tim Thatcher calling out Matt Riddle to a match that can only be won by knockout or submission. And he basically said, "Ball's in your court, Matt. Where?" Then we had a Shotzi Blackheart promo. Basically, she was showing off her tank. Next, we had Mia Yim taking on Santana Garrett, and this match didn't last too long as Mia Yim got the victory. Afterwards, the Garganos came in and basically just dogged her about her loss to Charlotte a couple weeks back, and Candice said if she had that opportunity, she would have beaten Charlotte, and they were going to make a point to make an example out of Mia Yim when basically the example was they were going to, I don't know where I'm going with this. They were basically going to beat up Mia Yim. Well, Candice was. Johnny was just going to be a little imp on the sidelines. However, Keith Lee made the save for Mia Yim. And just the two of them drove off Johnny and Candice. Next, we had an obnoxious Cameron Grimes promo where he basically just reveled in the fact that he beat Finn Balor. And that's all that was. Next, we had Roderick Strong taking on Dexter Lumis. Yeah. Roderick Strong, the story of this was Roderick Strong was throwing everything he had at Dexter Lumis, and Dexter Lumis just shrugged it off. Roderick Strong defeated Dexter Lumis with a roll-up, but yeah, that celebration was short-lived as Dexter Lumis locked in the Katagame, or the Anaconda Vice, on Roderick Strong, and much to the attempts from Bobby Fish and Adam Cole to get Lumis to break the hold, he wasn't breaking it. And when Adam Cole was gearing up for a last shot, Velveteen Dream helped make the save with help make the save on Dexter Lumis. I can get my words together. He clotheslined Adam Cole over the barricade, and then of course with some movie magic, they made it look like Velveteen Dream climbed up the top rope and flew all the way from the ring to just shy of the barricade, dropping an elbow right on Adam Cole's heart. So yeah, Velveteen Dream and Dexter Lumis stood tall. During the commercial break, El Hijo Fantasma and Akira Tozawa had a had a good sportsman-like talk in the parking lot. And when Fantasma tried to drive away, Akira Tozawa got ambushed by the masked luchador, well, by the masked men again, who tried to kidnap Tozawa. Of course, Fantasma drove him off. Next, we had Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch beating Everrise by submission. Keith Lee cut a promo on Johnny Gargano. And Matt Riddle accepted Timothy Thatcher's challenge and named their match's location inside of a cage. So we're getting an MMA inspired match. And then it would be announced a couple of days later that Kurt Angle recently mutually separated. Kurt Angle, WWE Hall of Famer, recently laid off from the WWE, would come back as a special guest referee for this match between Matt Riddle and Tim Thatcher, which would take place on next week's NXT, or given that the time this goes up, this past episode of NXT. Next, we had the finals of A Block in the Interim Cruiserweight Championship tourney as Drake Maverick took on Kushida. Now, there's one thing I can give Drake Maverick. It is the fact he can sell the absolute shit out of getting his arm worked over. Because throughout his match with Kushida, and it was the same with his match against Tony Nese, where he was just crying bloody murder as he was just getting his ass handed to him. I mean, Tony Nese was just beating the dog shit out of him, and now Kushida was just torturing his arm. But Drake Maverick got the victory over Kushida. And of course, Jake Atlas, who had been a strong supporter of Drake Maverick, was at ringside, and he was basically ecstatic that Drake Maverick won. Then Byron Saxton delivered a message from William Regal stating that Maverick, Atlas, and Kushida were all 2-1 in A Block, that they would go head-to-head in a triple threat match to determine who would face El Hijo Fantasma in the finals. And finally, in the main event, we had Io Shirai and Rhea Ripley facing off to determine who would face Charlotte at In Your House for the NXT Women's Championship. Well, they went and kicked the ever-living daylights out of each other until Charlotte came in and ruined the party. And then she stood tall with her title to close the show. Can we just get Charlotte back on one show? I'm tired of seeing her on all three. I feel like any day now she's just going to pop up on AEW just shits and giggles. Anyway, that's how we ended the May 20th edition of NXT. So let's go ahead and close out the show. As always, please subscribe to our channel. Just check out our content. I know I'm not too keen on uploading on time, but check it out. I'd love to hear your opinions on stuff. Whether you like NXT, whether you like what AEW's doing, or whether or not you can't stand me. I mean, I'm still going to be here doing my thing, whether you stand me or not. I don't care. This is my show, and if you don't like it, well, I can respect that. Anyway, you should also go check out Rodimus's podcast. He may not be here on the camera. He may not be here, which is a good thing. But he has a podcast where you can hear his opinions. It is Prime Talk with Rodimus Prime on the Castbox app. Go check it out. So that being said, I'm War Machine MJ, and I will see you guys next time. Ba-bang.